We jumped in Holland on September 17, 1944, with 3 airborne divisions. The 101st Airborne Division jumped below us in an area around Eindhoven. 82nd jumped above them in an area between the Maas and the Wall rivers. And north of us, at Arnhem, the British 1st Parachute Division jumped. And Arnhem, by the way, you might recall, is the so-called Bridge Too Far that Cornelius Ryan wrote about, and was part of the movie, A Bridge Too Far. The plan was, it was put together by Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery. The plan was that we would jump ahead of the advancing British forces, the British Second Army. We would jump ahead of them and seize all the bridges and all the roads so that the 30th Armored Corps, which is part of Montgomery's force, could move rapidly through this area, through this corridor, and on up to Arnhem. Once in Arnhem, when we achieved that objective, we would then make a right turn and we would head for Berlin. And Field Marshal Montgomery proudly proclaimed, and he said, and the war will be over by Christmas. Well, it didn't exactly happen that way. When we jumped on the 17th of September, we quickly seized the bridge over the Maas River at a town called Grave. It was below Nijmegen, about 10 miles. We seized that the first day. We cleared out our area and pretty much had our area under control, but we were still fighting to control the city of Nijmegen. And on the second day after we jumped, the 30th Corps, Montgomery's 30th Armored Corps, went through our position. And they came through tank and vehicle, bumper to bumper, 2 divisions of infantry, all moving into Nijmegen. But once in Nijmegen, they stopped because we didn't control the bridges yet. And they weren't going to attempt to cross the Wall River, which is some places, as I write in my book, is as wide as the Mississippi, with a current of 7 to 9 miles per hour. Now used for commercial traffic, and it is a wide, challenging river. And we held up there. And so something had to be done, and done quickly, because we were receiving word that the British 1st Parachute Division in Arnhem was in dire straits. They had jumped overlooking the intelligence of Dutch underground that said there was movement of tanks and men in the area of Arnhem. Overlooking that, they jumped in that area, and there were 2 divisions of German troops there, 1 Panzer and 1 infantry, and the 1st British Parachute Division jumped practically in their midst. They had a fight to get to the bridge, of which they were supposed to control, but they paid heavy casualties. And they were in dire straits, and if we didn't get to them soon, they would fail. If they failed, the mission would fail. And our objective, as so outlined in what we had fought for, would go down the drain. And so it was that as we were in Nijmegen and had to control the bridges, a plan was devised that, and the Germans still controlled most of Nijmegen, a plan was devised that we would control the south end of the bridges, 2 bridges, which were parallel and fairly close. One was a railroad bridge and the other was a highway bridge. We would control those bridges because either one of them could sustain armor. I mean, British tanks could have crossed on either bridge. We would control the bridges, or the southern approaches, but on the northern side we didn't have any troops. Normally, when in combat, when you're going to seize an objective in a bridge, you put troops on both ends and you capture both ends at the same time. So while we were fighting to control Nijmegen, we still didn't have control of the north side of the bridges. And the Germans knew that. And so they brought in reinforcements to control the north side of the bridge, dug in machine guns, and were prepared for whatever we were going to do. Now the Wall River had never been crossed, even in the days when the Huns were going through Europe. But something had to be done in this case, and done quickly, or as I said, the British troops would be wiped out and the mission would fail.